Alright, hello guys. Today we're cutting apart mackerel quickly. This will be a fast cut. So this is cargo mackerel. As we can see, 2 engines, no antennas on top. We do have a cargo hatch, but I like to think about the mackerels as basically 3 sections. We've got a cockpit here, our hull here, and then our rear thruster area. And so the first thing I always do is I just go into the airlock.
Airlock pressure levels drop.
Go in.
Airlock pressure levels
Come on.
increasing.
Now, as I was saying, there's 3 sections to this. But first, depressurize.
Air pressure levels.
Even if you're doing cuts inside, sometimes I've had to glitch out. So, as I said, 3 sections to a mackerel. These 4 that I'm just cutting now separate the cockpit from the hull. So good. Our cockpit is now separated from the hull. And now I'm cutting the floor and the roof separate from the hull. Now, this is a cargo hatch, so we don't have any right there. You've probably seen this part. I always cut these little support beams for the roof and the ceiling. Well, because they're pretty, they're easy to do while you're doing the front. Because you're already here, may as well cut them. Alright, perfect. Not doing a too good job of this sometimes, and I'd actually say most of the times, just look down the whole entire thing and cut away. There's our last one. Now the reactor piece can be separated from the hull itself. It won't explode. And now you're seeing me cut the 4 for our rear section. There, our rear section is not free yet. And the reason for that is, in here, as you see, I take a split saw. I suggest probably just forcing that in there. I cut open this. That's a problem. Alright, don't do that. So, flush the fuel system so it doesn't explode. This one is gonna explode. That's a problem. Don't worry. The pipe junction's on top. That's that little black box. You need to cut that in order for the rear to be free. Now, I am not gonna do what I did with the other side. I'm just gonna gently push that away. Make sure to flush so the fuel system doesn't explode. Now cut the fuel junction. Pipe junction, excuse me. And because we're right here, cut off the engines. Now the engines may be in the front or the back. Cut them as you come across them. I'll worry about the other side when we start the other side. Now, the hull section is split up in 2 parts. We have the crawl space and the cabin. Now, the crawl space, you're gonna cut these cut points on the outside, and this separates the crawl space part, or I'd say the outer hull, from the cabin. Now I know there was 3 parts, but this is like a secondary part, so I'm still gonna call it the cockpit, the hull, and the rear. Alright, cool. So here's our power cell. I will worry about that in a second. I hate that. Sometimes the grapple gets a little glitchy. Now, tether your engine to the barge, let it go. Now, what I am doing is I'm taking our outer sections of the hull and I am pulling them into the processor. Now, the upper tier mackerels have these outside bits the exoskeleton, I'll call them. Don't worry about cutting those off. They're nanocarbon, so just tether the outer bit and then pull it into the processor. That'll be good enough. Be careful on the front, because sometimes the exoskeleton comes off instead of the actual outer hull panel. Now, we can see we've actually separated it into 3 parts. There's our rear hull bit. So pull that into the processor. Oh, actually, I suggest you don't do this first, because you have to release the thruster, and the thruster cap has to be cut off with these 2 cut points on each side. So there's 1, there's 2. Now, the thruster cap goes in the processor, and the thruster itself goes into the barge. Thruster I always just force push. And now you can tether it into the processor. Because it is exposed, I'm going to remove the power cell. Keep away from the power cell, just friendly reminder, because it will shock you and hurt you. I'll just say it will hurt you. I haven't had it kill me yet. Famous last words. Now on the cockpit, I'm taking off the coolant tanks, and sometimes your grapple glitches out and explodes. Whatever. It is what it is. But next, because I was a dummy and I forgot, as we saw from the other side, there is also the engine, and I forgot to cut it off.
Warning. Oxygen reserves are low.
So as you cut those pipe junctions, I suggest that you cut these. I just forgot. And we have an airlock in our way on this side, so that's why I started with the other side first. And the reason for that is, keep in mind these fuel tanks go down. The other side first, because it is easier to cut all apart because there is an airlock. The airlock does not come off the structural hull of the ship. Excuse me, I gotta get oxygen. So there's 2 ways. Sometimes you're gonna have to cut through the inner wall here. I'm gonna grab this too. Sorry, I'm rushing this to show, because you gotta do it quick. If you wanna get the mackerel done in a day, it's extremely possible, but you gotta concentrate. So sometimes, yes, you do have to cut through this because the cockpit isn't separated. Fortunately, this time the cockpit separated itself. Now you cut the... I'm stuck. You cut the outer hull away just like the other side with those couple cut points, and I am confused. Here we go. And just like the other side, the exoskeleton stays on, and we pull these sections away just like that. Not just like that, because one of those is the airlock. Oops. The airlock is connected to the inner structure. I'm going to repeat that. Now I'm gonna cut away the outer section of the hull away from the cockpit. 2. There we go. And we're gonna pull it straight into the processor, avoiding the exoskeleton because those nanocarbon panels do fly off. Now you are at a good spot to look at your work order. As we see, it's already open. We need our class reactor and, oops. These roof nanocarbon panels aren't too important. But yeah, at this point, as you can see, where did it go? We're left with the hull itself and the cockpit. And this is the point you're gonna want to go and complete.
Alright, Cutter, you got 5 minutes left of this shift.
As you say, we're a 5-minute warning. You're going to want to, if you need your mechanical stuff, which is like your handles, your console handles as they're called, you're gonna want to salvage those. That one's probably junk now. Yep, got to be careful with those. Let's see, we need one more mechanical. There should be one out here. Perfect. So yeah, at this point, get all of your electrical, mechanical, whatever else you have or need. Don't forget to grab your repair kits. Now, let's see, here's a reactor. Stay a ways away from the reactor, it will shock and hurt you. So we got a reactor part done. Now in the... Uh-oh, where did their cockpit go? Oh, there it is. Like the other side, we've got a coolant tank that hasn't been doing very great in this beta. I'll just say that. But alright, our electrical pieces are now in here. Oh, Grapple's not doing a good job today. We can pull those out. I'm not having a good day. So whatever. I'm not gonna deal with those. So after you get done with your mechanical, electrical, whatever you need, your power supply, what you're gonna do is tether the cockpit, what's left of it, into the processor. And I tether the airlock along with the hull into the furnace, since it is mostly made out of aluminum, I think. Now on the airlock section, if you're just gonna throw everything in to the furnace, you definitely can take this structure, exoskeleton structure, and throw it in the processor.
Content not accepted. Please revisit your training.
Oh, and it looks like my mechanical piece was destroyed, but that's about it. As you can see, there's not much of a ship left, and we got 2 minutes left. And you can definitely do this faster.
Your oxygen reserves are low. Note that excess carbon dioxide can cause damage to Link's equipment.
There goes the hull.
Salvage secured.
So,
Account credit applied.
thanks for watching. I'm sure if you do this in a similar fashion, you can do it faster, because unfortunately I made some mistakes. Having to do a video and talk through it at the same time is a little difficult. So, yeah, there's the Mackerel. If you have any other tips or suggestions, leave them in the comments below. But thanks for watching.